Hey guys, welcome and thank you so much for watching this video. I know the IPL fever is hitting the roofs, right? So we are actually seeing the last two matches and there is a lot of exciting conversation that's going around this specific term, the net run rate, also NRR. So we are actually seeing this number playing out across different teams. And today, both the teams that are competing, the Delhi Capitals as well as the Royal Challengers Bangalore, have to perform really well, exceptionally well in terms of their net run rate to get qualified. So to explain you about a bit about this net run rate, I have actually prepared this video. We thought to actually create and show you something in real time, right? What is how net run rate is calculated and what could be the equation for today. So that's what we're going to be looking at. I'm going to quickly share my screen and I'm going to show you what's the current table of IPL looking like and why it is important, right? Let's say, for example, I'm going to type in IPL 2020 table on my Google. So here's what it shows, right? So we are actually seeing around 3 teams, right? So we're actually seeing RCB, Delhi Capitals, as well as Kolkata Knight Riders all jam-packed on the 14 points, and their net run rate is quite different. For example, RCB has a higher net run rate. I mean, not very higher, but it was minus 0.145, whereas Delhi Capitals around slightly slower, right? And comparatively, KKR has finished up all its matches and they have a net run rate of minus 0.214. And another very interesting thing, tomorrow there's a match between Mumbai Indians as well as Mumbai Indians and Sunrisers Hyderabad, and Sunrisers Hyderabad has an exceptionally good NRR. So if they win, they might have a higher chance of qualification. So that's another story, right? So here is what we're going to do in this video. So if you actually ask people how to calculate NRR, there is so much of resources available, right? I have actually went through them as well. So all of them talk about formula, right? How do you calculate NRR? Like calculate the sum of the scores that's being scored, calculate the number of the overs that's scored. I'm not going to talk about all these things because I believe in practical learning. So we have to do something and then learn from this. So what is something that we're going to do is we're going to understand about why RCB has this specific net run rate or why Delhi Capitals has this specific net run rate, and I'm going to do that in front of you guys, right? So I'm going to actually credit my team for helping me in creating this specific Google sheet. So we're going to do something exciting, really exciting with this Google sheet towards the end of this video. So please stay tuned. So what is something that's going to happen? What's something that has happened is my teammate Abdul Halik from EduRise Global, he helped me in creating this specific Google sheet for me. So here is what it contains. So it contains both the teams, Delhi Capitals as well as Royal Challengers Bangalore, and we have actually captured a few information. Like we have actually captured what's the score scored by them in every match and the number of overs that they have actually played. Like for example, let's say Delhi Capitals in the first match against Kings 11 Punjab, they have actually scored 157 in 20 overs. And against them, I think it was an interestingly a super over, right? So they also scored 157 in 20 overs. So similar to that, we have actually captured all the scores. Now here's a very interesting thing. Let us assume that in case if the Delhi Capitals has actually got out on a match at as an all out, right? Now that's when we're going to actually mark it and say it's not something like I can actually show it to you, right? Let's say DC IPL 2020. So let's actually view all their matches. In some match, they would have actually got all out, right? Let's say, in this specific match, right? For example, this is going to be, I think, the 13th match. So Sunrise Hyderabad have scored 219 in 20 overs. So ideally, we'll be marking here like for against, against we have marked around 219 in 20 overs. Versus what really happened here is Delhi Capitals has actually got an all out in 131 runs in 19 overs itself. Now here's the very interesting thing about net run rate. We're not going to actually mark this like 19 overs. We're going to mark it like 20 overs because it's their mistake. They actually got all out, right? So that's why we're marking it as 20 overs, and that's how a net run rate works. Now here's the second thing, right? Let us assume that in case like instead of getting an all out at a lower score, Delhi Capitals has actually chased the specific score. Let's say, for example, in this match against CSK. So what really happened was, CSK has scored 117 runs in 20 overs. So what we have added here is 179 in 20 overs. And Delhi Capitals has actually reached the target in 19.5 overs. So here's what we are adding here, right? So 19.5. So every 0.1 in a cricket match, it's like six balls constitute to an over versus At the same time, if you look at mathematic decimals, there are there are 100 sub pieces within a point, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to convert this 0.5 into so this is typically this. So 5 by 6, right? And this is what, here's the value that's coming up. 0.83 is the actual value. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add 0.83 over here. So 19.5 in decimal in net-rounded calculation becomes like 19.83. So this is how we added all the scores of all the teams over here, which against which Delhi Capitals played. At the same time, this is what we did with Royal Challengers Bangalore as well, right? So calculating that score, calculating the opposite team score. Unfortunately, wicket doesn't play any role in this specific calculation. And very interestingly, they will actually get affected only when the team becomes an all-out, right? So here's what we have did. So now that we have calculated completely, and here's a very interesting thing, right? In the last match against Sunrisers Hyderabad, the SRH team has scored quite fast. They were able to chase the 120, the target set by Sunrisers. RCB in around like 14.1 overs. So that's why we are adding it as 14.16. So now we have actually done till the match 13. The match 14 is going to happen today, and that's what we're going to do. Now here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do exactly as a calculation. Please pay attention to this specific thing from now, so you will really understand, right? So I'm going to put an equal to, I'm going to do a sum of all the scores that was scored by Delhi Capitals for them, right? So now it's showing me a suggestion. It's going to calculate from match 1 to match 13. It's going to calculate the sum. Yes, now it has calculated, right? They have actually together scored 2,135 runs. Now let's look at how many overs they have actually played together, right? So let's actually calculate it. So this sum is around 259.83 overs, right? Let's not jump into the numbers right now. Let's quickly do this calculation. Now this is very important. Now this is the first step, right? So we are actually trying to calculate all the average scores of all the matches together. So far it's around 13 matches, right? Now once we are done with this, just give me a second. I'm going to calculate for everything. Yeah. All right, so now we have actually got the scores of all the, for as well as against scores of all the, Delhi Capitals as well as Royal Challengers Bangalore. Now here's what we are going to do next. This is going to be quite interesting. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually divide both these things. Now run rate is all about dividing the number of runs scored and the number of overs. Right? Let's say, for example, I scored 60 runs in the power plays, like 60 runs in 6 overs, the run rate is going to be 10, right? Of course. So that's the same thing that we're going to do. We're going to take up these runs divided by the number of overs they have actually played, right? As well as we're going to do the same thing for the against too, right? Now this is the runs that scored against Delhi Capitals. So here's what we're doing. Once I've actually done, now this is the difference, right? Let's actually do it for RCB, and then we'll come to the we will actually come to the net run rate part, right? Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to divide it to this specific overs. Now I'm getting a new value, putting an equal to, dividing it to an over. Now I got a new value. Now that's perfect. Now here's what it's going to be getting interesting. Now this is the net run rate of the runs scored for them and against them. Not net run rate, but the run rate. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually subtract both these values. So it's going to be something like equal to this value, the runs that scored for them, minus of the runs that scored against them, right? Now we're getting some value. Let's come to it quickly. Now at the same time, here's what we're going to do for the same thing again, right? I'm going to put an equal to, I'm going to actually click this value. I'm going to subtract this value with this. Now here's we're getting another value. Now there's so many digits over here. Now let's say if we actually take this decimal to only 3 digits, we will only consider 3 digits, right? We're going to do something called as round off, which means that we're going to consider the 4th digit, and it's a 9. So we're going to add +1 to the 8. So it's going to be minus 0.159. Now this is the net round rate for the Delhi Capitals versus I'm going to do the similar thing over here. Let's consider it as minus 0.145. I think it's 5 or 6, right? So I'm going to actually, it should be 6 ideally. Now here's the thing, right? Now, if you compare this value to what we are seeing over here, right? Of course, that's a one digit in error. Maybe it could have come from some of the overs. I'm not really sure. Or if we calculate this 14.16666, so that's how it goes on, right? So now this is the thing. Now, if we actually calculate it to only two digits, it's going to be something like minus 0.16, of course, and this is going to be minus 0.15, and now this is the net run rate that you are actually seeing it on the IPL 2020 table. Minus 0.15 is the net run rate score of RCB, and minus 0.16 is the score of Delhi Capitals. Now, this is the first part of the video that I wanted to make you really understand about how we actually calculate NRR. I'll do a quick summary. We got the scores for as well as the against scores for all the teams, right? Against this specific team, Delhi Capitals and Royal Challengers Bangalore, and we have actually added 20 overs in case the team has got all out, as well as we have actually decimated the value into on the basis of decimal number, right? So in case if the team has actually chased the target in a specific number of overs, and what we did is we actually calculated some of them, and we actually calculated the run rate of this, and then we actually subtracted to identify the real net run rate. So now this is the thing. Now here's what we're going to do, something different, right? We're going to do something quite different. What we're going to do is let's assume something, right? In case what has to happen in this specific match. Like for example, let us say if Delhi Capital scores a score of 260 today, right, in 20 overs, and RCB comes and chases it in, like, say for example, 19 overs. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do a quick difference. I'm going to change this formula to, it's actually O3. I'm going to change this into P3. Just give me a second. Yes, guys. So I have actually changed the values into till the match 14, right? So last we are doing some assumption over here. Now here's the thing. So let's say if I am actually going to calculate in this way, right? For example, Delhi Capital scores 160 and Royal Challengers choose to score 161 in 19 overs. Now here's going to be the net run rate, right, of Delhi Capitals. It's going to be minus 0.18. Let's look at this, right? Let's do some play. Let's assume that they're actually going to score this score of 161 in 18 overs, right? Now, if you look at it, it's minus 0.21, which is going to be the same net run rate as KKR already has, right? Let's even go further. Let's say they're going to actually chase the score in 17.3 overs. I'm going to add it like 17.5 because we are decimating the number, right? It's going to become minus 0.22. So now here's the difference. Now, if actually RCB chases this specific target of 160 in 17.3 overs, now they are going to go behind Kolkata Knight Riders. And that's the very interesting thing. Like that's going to happen. Let's assume if the scores are different. Let's assume like they scored 180, right? Now they might be in a comparatively safer place, because now if the same score has been scored in 17.5 overs, it's going to affect them much more. It's going to affect them in a minus 0.23. So I think they have to actually, even if they score in 18 overs, it's going to be affecting them. So they might actually anticipate to lose somewhere between, not before like 9 to 10 balls, right? Not in an 18 overs. So they want to take the game closer. So that's going to be the game plan for Delhi Capitals. At the same time, let's assume that how many run difference of loss could actually affect RCB. Now that's another story, right? We don't know who's going to bat first and who's going to bat second. This is all like assumption. Let's assume like the Delhi Capitals has scored 160 in 20 overs, right? Now here's what's going to happen. Let's assume like RCB is getting all out in 140. Of course, they're getting all out, so we're going to consider all the 20 overs. Now here's what's going to happen. Yeah, their net run rate is going to go minus 0.05, and you can actually see it clearly right now, right? So it's going to become like minus 0.20 versus, let's say if they're getting all out at 150, yeah, it's not going to get much affected. It's going to affect like only by around 3 points. So it's going to be minus 0.17. So when they are actually losing, they don't want to lose by more than 15 to 20 runs. Now that's the difference. So whichever team bats first, since their net run rates are very closer, so it's going to be a good deal. And we don't want any of the teams to, the teams don't want themselves to lose by more than like, let's say 9 to 10 balls, or at the same time, not by more than 15 or 20 runs. So that's going to be the equation for today. And here's what it's interesting. So in this specific thing, there's so many things that we can also learn, right? And that's what we actually wanted to focus on this video. If you find this video helpful, please feel free to drop a comment. It's going to be really, really motivating us to do a lot more videos similar to this. And please do share it with your friends too. And another very interesting thing, I am going to open this. I'm not going to keep this sheet to myself. I'm going to actually share the view access of this specific sheet on the comment box. So you please feel free to go to the comment box and access this sheet. Use it by yourself. A view option. You could actually copy all these values and add it to your own sheet. And you could tell your friends, you could tell your family, you could tell all the people that you know how many runs that has to be scored by any respective team during the match. Right now, this is going to be exciting. You're not going to be waiting for the commentator to tell you, because you are deciding what you are want to do, right? So that's going to be really that's all about it. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you on the next one, and enjoy the match. Let us know which team you're supporting, so it'll also I'll also tell you which team I'm supporting, right? So see you guys. Thank you so much.